Hi, everybody. Welcome back and happy Monday. Okay, guys. So we are officially back from Florida. We moved everything. I haven't seen you guys on a live in so long. So just to kind of give you an update, I'm back from Florida. I am packing up my house now. Jason is in Charleston, and I see where everybody is asking me about my puppy, Pippa. She is doing fantastic. I was not aware that I got a horse, but we love her and she starts school this week. So we're very excited and I'm trying everything. Somebody said, "Adam, if it's so hard, then just get rid of her." And I was like, "No. If I adopted a baby and the baby starts crying and like shitting itself, do I get rid of it? No, you have to figure it out." So we love Pippa. We love the Real Housewives of New Jersey. And we love our special guest today, So Bad It's Good, with Ryan Bailey. And that's exactly who we are about to jump into this with. So if you guys haven't already, go ahead, smash that like button. If you're not subscribed, get subscribed. Don't forget to hit that notification bell. And let's welcome Ryan. Hello.
Somebody told you to get rid of your dog?
Yeah, somebody said if she's such a problem, get rid of her. I said, no, she's a baby.
Wow. Did DJ James Kennedy offer to take Pippa?
No. Jesus. Okay. I don't want my dog to learn how to bite people because you want to sit there and you get your socks off on it or whatever. What did she say? Isn't that what she said?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah. Ay. Okay, so we're back in Jersey, Ryan. Can I say really quick, looking at this, it looks like it's going to be a bomb-ass season.
Well, see, I don't know. Like, it's hard. I think if you looked at it without all of the discussion and the social media aspect of it, like, it's hard because I think that kind of poisons a little bit of how we view Jersey. Like, just watching all of, like, the Twitter and it kind of, like, it just seems like it's very weird. It just seems like we're on like different sides, like Melissa, Teresa, Louis, all of this stuff. And even on the show, you see that like Melissa's like, I don't want to talk about Teresa. You know, Margaret's like, I don't want to talk about Teresa. And I do wonder where we're going to go from there because we're so used to that relationship and that fighting. I'm going to be watching every episode, but it is weird. You kind of go into the season, or at least me, I go into the season a little exhausted. And it's kind of like, let's see what happens. And that Fuda thinks he's like a king or something. It's going to be really interesting, but I'm excited that it's back.
So I have a couple takeaways before we, like kind of dissect the episode. Guys, go ahead and rate the episode 1 to 10, 10 being the highest of what you thought about it. Obviously, I'm going to start this off and say that I would give it a 7, but a few of my takeaways are: 1, right now there's a total social media takedown because whoever Melissa's old nose is, and I've been traveling and moving, I don't know who this person. Do you know the identity of this person?
Yeah, I mean, I think because they've talked about it on Twitter and things like that. But
okay,
it's a very weird. Well, I'm forgetting her name off top. I try not to get involved too much in that kind of stuff, but it does seem like direct inroads were made, specifically potentially with Teresa and Jen Aiden, with some of these accounts to actually push stories, like the story last night with Fuda and Jail and I don't want to say the dirty,
double-sided dildo.
The double-sided dildo. Yes, the double-sided dildo potentially was given to these social media people to throw out there. And I'm like, this isn't Watergate. This is supposed to be fun. At the end of the day, we shouldn't be on the show. We shouldn't be on the show. Like, we shouldn't be part of the narrative in any sort of way. And it makes me really sad because it's like, let the show come out with whatever they discover. Don't use us as some kind of tool to get things on the show, if that makes sense.
Oh, we're going to see this with a whole nother franchise this year before the end of the year. I promise you. Mark my words, it's coming. But what I want to say is I'm starting to wonder if this is a new era by using like me and you and people who cover these shows as sort of like a prop or a tool in order to drive storylines. Because I feel like it's happening more and more. I think that Monica Garcia on the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, I think that she kind of opened the floodgates on this. And now I think that so many more people are either being celebrated or brought up or whatever into these shows in order to continue to drive these storylines. And I don't know if it's something that's going to make the show better or eventually ruin the show, because now it just kind of takes an element away from what they would be dealing with in their real lives if we weren't around.
Well, I think they've been dealing with this for a little bit. I think this has been going on for a long time, but I think it's getting more brought out into the light.
Yeah.
But if you're going to punish Monica Garcia for it, why aren't there like hard and fast rules across all of the franchises about how we deal with these things? And even in their own podcasts. I mean, if you look at the Vanderpump Rules, all of the cast podcasts and how that kind of drives storyline as well. I'm just curious because I feel like sometimes that can be a runaway train and that production would have to get a handle on that. And it takes away from their actual lives. I want to know what's actually going on. Like, I want to know what the reality of their reality is. And Jersey, I mean, that's an iconic show. And
Mhm.
I'm one of those weird people that I don't have like, I like Teresa. I like Melissa. I see ridiculous things in every one of those cast members, but
Yeah.
I don't have so much skin in the game that I'm trying to affect the outcome of the show.
Well, then I wonder too, like with the way that these things are playing out, I'm like, you guys are throwing each other under the bus. And yes, Monica was the one who was responsible for running that account. However, one of the biggest no-nos as talent is when you get your screeners and you guys are sharing the
Yeah.
screeners. And that's a
That was the
big
other
deal.
thing. They share about Jen Aiden allegedly shared her screeners with the account Melissa's Old Nose. And that's wild to me because you and I both know, like, if I get a screener, I don't share that stuff because they also, you guys don't know, like, you have to authenticate it with an app now. You have to put your email. It has your watermark address on it in case somebody videotapes it. They know it comes from my account. So they take that stuff very seriously. And
Mhm.
at the end of the day, I feel like they're going to ruin it for a lot of us who actually don't go out there and just share everything that we get.
I think it probably just got ruined, to be honest with you. Like, because I
Yeah.
remember, I know I can probably go to almost every single franchise except for Real Housewives of Miami. And I know people who shared the screeners and they're not supposed to be sharing the screeners. But it's like, yeah, that makes sense. If Teresa and Jennifer Aiden, allegedly, if they were sharing the screeners because they wanted to make sure that this person was on top of it when they were going to put out the information and like slam the people that they didn't like, it makes sense because then they were on it, you know?
Yeah, totally. I agree. But isn't it funny though? We're talking about this instead of actually talking about what's on the show. And
I know,
I
but
always,
that's what I'm
but
saying. It's like,
I
is
know,
this
but that's my
ruining
thing.
it?
Well, you kind of in a way, because all of the people in the chat, they might know a little bit about this, but a lot of them, wisely don't get involved in all the social media BS. So that's what we're talking about. And it's like, remember when it was like, it was used to truly be about their lives and none of us were throwing, like, we would throw our 2 cents in, but it didn't matter the same way that it does today. And some of these accounts that they've chosen to align with, no offense to those accounts, they're not even big accounts. They're
Yeah.
not even like these things that kind of move the needle. Like, no, I mean, seriously, like your show
Right.
moves the needle. Your show, like, I can understand trying to woo somebody like you, but the accounts that they're aligning with, I feel like they have a really weird perception of what actually matters because I've seen a lot of these accounts and I'll just kind of like in my head go, oh, that's nonsense. I'll write it off or I'll mute them.
Yeah.
And I just don't want people that I already kind of roll my eyes at. And I don't mean to be a dick about this. I don't want those people to like kind of
You can
sway
say,
any kind
all
of
right,
storyline.
I don't mean to interrupt you. You can say double-sided dildo, but you cannot say dick.
Yeah, double said. Listen,
Okay.
and I believe John Fuda probably has a past. Everybody on that show has a past, and you're ridiculous if you come on to a Real Housewives show and think that your past is not going to be discovered. And listen, double-sided dildo. I've not worked my way up to a double-sided. I'm still on a single-sided dildo. So
Okay.
congrats to John Fuda. Congrats to
I've
and poor
never even
John Fuda's just hungry. John Fuda's so skinny now and hungry that he is just gonna be he's gonna be a big housewife this season.
I mean, listen. Talking about also, by the way, a cop without a badge. Real quick. Like you're saying,
Amazing.
"Oh, I heard, first
Oh wait,
we're going to dissect this in like 500 different ways all over the place.
I'm gonna slam this down right now.
This guy, if you don't have it and watch what happens live Clubhouse, then he has it there. But what I was going to say is we're sitting here like dissecting it, right? We're dissecting the show. And then we have these moments where I'm just kind of getting thrown off a little bit. Like, by the way, you want to know what your husband told me? Your husband told me that he appreciates me because we both went to prison. What was it?
Well, because I think it was like his ex-wife. Like something we both went to prison because Teresa went to prison. And was she talking about John or was she talking about John's ex?
She was talking about John.
Yeah, yeah. So it was something like that, but in pure Teresa. And then it was great because after that moment, Teresa literally hit up the candy girl and just started shoving Starbursts into her purse.
And
And
then
just
did you see the
like
one
a
that
lot.
fell?
Yeah, I know. And she didn't grab it. It was
She's like
great.
this.
But like we're gonna have a whole season of these people trying to ignore each other. And I feel like sometimes with reality shows, you're supposed to run towards the conflict and not away from it. But we've seen the same storyline with Melissa and Teresa now for I mean, since the beginning of time. So I appreciate that they've given up on that relationship. I just
Mhm.
wonder how the show is, because you can see even in the preview for the entire season is that obviously, everybody is drawing sides again. You have Jackie now aligning potentially with Teresa and Jen. Also,
Which
I
she
just
is
think
for
it's,
sure.
but I think with the Jen, like I want to see Jen Aiden fly on her own. I feel like she is sometimes just right behind Teresa all the time, where I'm like, Jen is
Mhm.
a fascinating character. I want to see her have her own storyline that has nothing to do with backing up Teresa. And that's not a slam on Teresa. I just feel like it almost makes this situation like you're going to war. And I'm like, there's got to be more to your lives than just that.
Yeah. You know, I find it to be like I think Atlanta is the only besides frickin' Frack, I feel like you always get a duo. I feel like in Miami, it's Alexia and Marisol. In New York, it was Ramona and Sonia. In Salt Lake City, it was Bad Weather. Then you go over to Beverly Hills and we had Kyle and Doree or Kyle and Teddy or whoever. And then you go over to Orange County and we had Vicky and Tamra. And it's like we do the duo, Potomac, Robin and Giselle. That
Yeah.
that is like,
You got
thank
to break
God.
those duos up. That's why Potomac, it was great that they actually broke that duo up and like let
Mhm.
Robin sit out a season because it'll be more fascinating to see Giselle survive on her own. The thing is with Teresa, as strong of a woman that as she is, though, she needs that backup because if Teresa doesn't have some sort of direction, and I think Jen gives her a little bit of that kind of sturdiness in a sense, because Teresa can fly off and she sometimes will not make a lot of sense because she'll shoot from the hip and just say stuff like, yeah, she admires us because we both were in prison. Like it'll say, you're like, what does that exactly mean? So
You're like, that's not a
Teresa needs
compliment.
that. That's
Yeah,
yeah.
that's not,
Teresa
but I do
needs that.
agree. And also, if Jennifer Aiden wants to keep her place, then you do have to pivot. You cannot. I mean, I think that Giselle was ultimately Robin and Giselle started trying to protect each other and give Robin that sort of longevity by Robin starting to stand against Giselle. But I think it was not believable for the Real Housewives or like producers or like the fans. And I think right now we're going to see where Jennifer Aiden starts becoming friends with Melissa. But there are a few things this season that kind of already annoy you, right? Like, we're not talking about that. I'm not going to answer those questions. What do you mean you're not going to answer those questions? You're getting paid 6, 7 figures to answer those questions. Like, I don't want to talk about my sister in law. Guess what, honey? You signed a contract. You make more money than a plastic surgeon, than a doctor, somebody who's like doing a lobotomy. I don't even know what a lobotomy
Yeah,
is.
but Adam, we kind of knew exactly where Melissa's head was going to be at the reunion. At the end of
Yeah.
the reunion last season, she was like, "Listen, have fun, goodbye." And Teresa's like, "Where? I'm not going anywhere. Are you leaving?" Da da da. And they both were kind of standing firm. And I think
Mhm.
Melissa really stood up for herself very well, and Teresa at the reunion. But it's kind of like to me, and I hate to keep comparing things to Vanderpump, but that's been really on my mind, obviously,
Mhm.
all season. Is that Ariana said she wasn't going to speak to Tom, said she wasn't going to do scenes with Tom. I think Melissa did the same thing. So to me, that's almost productions like riddle to figure out of how do we have a show if these two people do not want to do scenes and talk about each other. How do we move forward? And I would love to think that there is a way that these people can move forward as family, but it's just not going to happen at this point. There's just no way. Like we've had too many seasons where they've had like little truces, they've gotten along for a second and then it completely falls apart. So I even as an audience member have given up and I'm like, show me something else then.
Do you feel like it's okay for them to draw their line in the sand and say, I will and won't film with certain people or certain things? Because for me, I feel like I understand this is your real life, but it's not. Let's be real.
Sure, but I'm
It
saying you're doing it's like it's a watered down sequel each season. We're seeing it weaker and weaker each season where it's like Groundhog's Day. I'm like, what am I'm watching the same exact conversation in a different location. Sometimes it's the same location. I'm seeing it at Rails all the time. Like it's the Rails restaurant again. So it is very
that
interesting.
damn
And that's
house.
well, it's funny that like even Dolores is in the middle on the poster this season. Like she's like the main character. And I think it's because she's that person that we're going to rely on that is able to be friendly to all parties involved, even though this season starts where you see Dolores sitting at Rail's restaurant by herself. And, obviously some big fight has gone down. So that's probably what's going to happen at the end of the season. So you already know where this is going to end up. But there's
Yeah.
still so many other storylines that I'm curious about. Like we still are getting to know Danielle, who's in the second season.
Yep.
Fuda, like John, Rachel seems great. John seems like he wants to be messy. So that's going to happen. We still have no clue what Louis truly does for work. All of a sudden, he has to go to a business meeting in Florida instead of Jen Fessler's 55th birthday. I mean, these are things that I'm curious about. And it's one of those things that Louis and Teresa sometimes, Louis especially, seems like he hides everything. So it's up to the show to actually find a way to bring it out. And Louis and Teresa seem like they love each other. Like, I'm not saying that. Like, maybe that they are the right couple for each other, but I am still so confused as to who Louis is.
Did you see where
Louis, if you're in here, I'm sorry. Don't come after me, Louis.
Oh, no. Trust me. I'm telling you, I'll hear about it at BravoCon 2025. Don't worry.
Sorry.
And so will you.
Yeah.
Good luck.
He follows me now, and I was like, "Whoa, God, no, Louis, don't follow me. Do not follow me."
Can we just go together? Like when I know that we're gonna run into Teresa and Louis in the back, I'll just be like, "Hey, Ryan, where are you?"
Wait, Adam, you're a tan
keep
person. You're tan. Do you ever look at Louis and go, "That's too tan"? He looks like a cherry tomato. He's like he looks like the Kool-Aid man. And it's like him, like everybody, all the men in Jersey seem like they work out very heavily in a different way than the rest of America work out. The women all seem to be on Ozempic, successfully on Ozempic. They've all changed body types, and they're all weird shades of red.
I think that we're just saying moderation is not a thing in Jersey.
That's what I mean. They must just like really just give those things out. Like it must be cheap as anything to get a spray tan in Jersey.
If you go back to my first interview that I ever did on Heather McDonald's podcast, I tanned so much to get ready for that because I was so excited to be on Juicy Scoop. And then I rewatched it and I looked like Louis times 10. And it was not a fake tan, guys. Like I was outside with Australian gold bronzer, spraying my face, sitting by the beach. I think I laid outside by the beach for like 10 hours. And then I showed up to her show and I was like, watching it back, Jason said, "No."
You laid out for 10 hours? Did you fall asleep?
I fell asleep. Well,
okay.
I always, if I want to lay out, I put my AirPods in and I listen to Outer Banks and it's like, we're looking for the treasure still. And like it gets into the story and then I just like pass out and I'm like, you go, John B. I don't know.
Wait, somebody in the chat too. And by the way, hi everybody watching. Thanks for being here today. I hope this is okay. But somebody said, in terms of where did I just found that I found was it? Oh, Louis. Sorry, not Louis. Polly. Polly still not being divorced because that got talked about as well. And it is curious why a divorce would take so long. And I'm curious more about specifics. It seems like they're doing fine, but like Paulie does seem to get into it too. He's one that got into it with Fuda by the end of this, and he's close or closer with Louis. So I'm curious, and I just hope it's one of those seasons where the women were still so hung up on Melissa and Teresa that the men get to shine in a weird way. Like this is the real Housewives. Like I love the dudes of Jersey. I think they're great, but we're there to watch these women's stories. And Jersey is one of those things that always teeters on the, it's like, it seems like a weird, like too balanced of like, there's a lot of men in Jersey and a lot of women. And I wish there would be less men and more of the actual Housewives.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you, because some people actually have a legitimate issue with the fact that the husbands are so involved, but it's one of the things that I really like about Jersey. I think I like when they're involved in a husband capacity. This is not shade towards John Fuda, but watching, I don't love when the husbands go to bat with the women, unless it's like Joe and his sister. That makes sense. We're siblings.
Yeah.
But then when it's like, it's not even a level playing field. Like when John's like, what do you have to say? Where's your husband, Teresa? And Teresa's like, where's your double-sided dildo? It's like, you can't call her a bitch. You cannot call her an asshole. You cannot call her. If you do, you're going to be eviscerated by the fans and everything, because you should not speak to a woman like that regardless. And I just think that the playing field, it reminds me of, what did Nene Leakes say that one time? Stay out of
Stay out of
bitches'
grown woman's
business.
business. Yeah,
Yeah.
like, well, I mean, but think about it. Even in the storylines between the women and the brother and sister, like Teresa and Joey, this isn't new. If you go back to the first time Joey and Melissa were introduced in the christening, the amazing episode during the christening that season, it's the same relationship. It's not changed. We're
Yeah.
13 seasons into this show. It is
Yeah.
not changed at all. So for us to like, oh, I wish they could get along again. I'm wondering if there was a time that they ever got along. I feel like we've never seen them actually get along the way that the way they talk about their relationship, how close they were to each other. I've only seen moments of that. We flash back in this episode to 2019 when Joey actually helped one of her daughters move into college and like build furniture. And there's nice moments. It just
Yeah.
seems those times are very short lived, which also
Yeah.
I did like, by the way, watching Melissa and Teresa send their daughters to college. I mean, those are like, that's real life stuff. So it's interesting when they deal with their families, they're a different way. But when they deal with each other, it's a complete mess.
Do you feel like, while you're watching the show, when you have moments like the husband stepping in, or that, like, especially when they start fighting each other, like somebody just said, Vicky Harnish, Fuda versus Polly, what was the fight about, please? Like, does it bother you when you start seeing the husbands having some sort of confrontation? Or do you like the kind of pivot because it comes back and forth and you see like Dolores watching and then she interject? Like, where do you stand?
I feel like sometimes it takes away. Well, listen, if there's not enough, which I sometimes felt like it was very thin in terms of the female storyline last night, it
Mhm.
picks up like the slack. You can almost like, oh, these goofy men are going to start fighting with each other. I just think that the show can be better than that. And these women, like, maybe casting needs to be in a different way. Or I don't know. I like it to a degree, but it's kind of like a parlor trick. I feel
Yeah.
like if anytime they can like shoot to the men and the men are going to be doing something stupid, they're going to be over drinking, they're going to be ripping each other's chest hair out, or they're going to be legitimately fighting with each other. But I feel like we wouldn't need that if these women could actually come together and find something, some kind of commonality in a certain way instead of the same old Melissa and Teresa. I mean, they're not even talking about each other and we're still kind of talking about them. And I feel like that's a problem that the show will eventually have to deal with.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, that makes sense. And then also I wanted
And
to
by the
ask
way,
you.
somebody said, I do love the christening episode. The christening episode is one of, I think, the top 10 Housewives of all time episodes. It has everything. I mean, it's like
Oh,
the
how are you,
Godfather, that
Joe? Get the
episode.
fuck out of
Oh,
here.
so good. Like they were
Get out
my
of here.
father, my father. It's
Wait, what did
amazing.
he say? Get out of here, you fucking rat, or something. And
Yeah.
she's like,
Oh, so
really,
good. What'd you
Joey?
say? Yeah.
Really? And it was like this whole thing. Okay. Hottest New Jersey couple, go.
Hottest New Jersey couple?
Current.
Wow. Wow. I uh, maybe Danielle and her guy. I
I
don't
was gonna
know.
say Danielle and Nate. Okay.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, we barely
I mean,
got
there's a
any
lot.
Danielle last night. We barely got any Danielle.
I know. I
John
was a little
Fuda's
concerned by that.
John Fuda's going for the most improved. I mean, he's, obviously lost a lot of weight and his teeth are done, but
I think John Fuda is going to be, listen, and I know John. I'm not bashing you, John. I'm sure John is gonna see this and hear this. I am very concerned, because I think that a lot of times what makes a great housewife situation is when the husband doesn't necessarily get involved in the woman's drama. And I think that like Anne-Marie Wiley, who just left Beverly Hills, and her husband, is it Marcellus or Marcellus?
Marcellus, yeah.
Marcellus. Marcellus came in and he was like, they wasted my damn time. And I'm not going to lie, my wife was a shitty housewife and this and that. But then he starts, like going in and slamming
8.5.
all of the
Yeah.
housewives. And I'm like, this is not good. So I think that right now, John Fuda is treading on thin water. But to be fair, you said the guy takes a double-sided dildo and he was the biggest drug dealer in Bergen County. So, like, how do you not protect yourself?
Yeah.
Like,
Well, did you guys see he released a statement last night? He
oh,
released a
actually,
statement. Yeah,
here, let
maybe
me,
pull this up. He released a statement where I'm like, damn, dude, you didn't have to go this hard on a statement, but he felt the need to release a statement. But it's so funny, even with the double-sided dildo and the drug thing, I don't really think it wasn't like, wow, I've got to rethink John Fuda. I didn't really think anything about it. I just thought, like, okay, everybody has a past. Everybody likes to get freaky, I guess.
statement loading.
Oh, here it is.
For immediate release, John Fuda responds to the Real Housewives of New Jersey castmates' attempt to disparage his character. Ramsey, New Jersey, 5/5/2024. John Fuda, esteemed entrepreneur and philanthropist, has issued a statement in response to recent attempts by his fellow castmates on the Real Housewives of New Jersey to bring up his past in an effort to cast him in a negative light. In recent episodes of New Jersey, certain cast members have resorted to drudging up Mr. Fuda's past in an apparent attempt to discredit him and undermine his reputation. Despite these efforts, Mr. Fuda remains steadfast in his commitment to integrity, honesty, and personal growth. While I am not proud of every aspect of my history, I have worked tirelessly to overcome challenges and strive for a better future. I refuse to be defined by my past mistakes. Now, they go on to say, a respected figure. I'm grateful for the support of my friends and family. Ending it off, it says, Mr. Fuda's response serves as a reminder that everyone deserves a chance to evolve and move forward from their past, free from judgment and being condemned for said shit. For immediate inquiries or interviews, please contact fudacommunications@gmail.com.
Yeah, it's like he put his Gmail address in there.
Not your
He put his
Gmail.
I love that he put his Fuda Communications. I didn't know he had his own communication company.
I love when is your account?
Numbers are down, you guys. Vicky just wrote numbers are down. Let's get the numbers up. Adam will never have me on again if the numbers are down. Let's hit that like button.
No, she's saying that like buttons are down. The numbers
Oh,
are
okay.
up. Like
Okay.
guys, smash
I
the
just
like
want to make
button.
sure.
That's
Smash
what they
that
keep
like
saying.
button.
Yeah. Thanks, Ryan.
I'm gonna take a double-sided dildo to myself if the like buttons don't go up.
We're getting demonetized so quick. I don't even care.
Sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. I don't know how this works. Sorry. Single-sided.
The double-sided dildo will come out if we hit the numbers, guys. I just have to call the Fudas and ask for it.
Yeah.
Apparently. I don't know. What I was going to ask is, does your business have a Gmail?
Mine does. It's so bad it's good with ryanbailey@gmail.com, but I'm not a respected figure in my community like John Fuda is, so I think that's okay for me to have that.
Okay, that's fair. I had a Gmail and Jason came in and intervened and was like, no, we're not doing that.
Why? Because it's just not professional. Like, so you need your own like
well,
Adam
he thought that it
up
was
and Adam
more.
Y.
Yeah, he thought it was more professional to do it at my website. So that's what
it obviously is. Yes. That's
But-
why it's kind of funny because it's like, he wrote all of this potentially. He probably doesn't have a PR publicist person.
This
and
is
he
a
put this
fucking
all out
AI
himself.
thing.
What's that?
This
AI,
is total AI.
Yeah. Which, by the way, another AI thing. Did you guys see Teresa and Louis' wedding scrapbook? That first picture looked
Wait, where is that?
Last night, remember when Teresa at dinner with Louis and the kids, they bring out the wedding scrapbook?
Oh, yes.
And those pictures are like, I mean, they're beautiful, but it is, they look like action figures. It looks like and there's like one of Louis by himself staring off into the distance. I was dying. But at the same time, I will say, having seen Teresa in person, like I always think like, oh my God, she overdoes it with all the filters. But then you see Teresa in person and she looks like a living filter. She truly does look the way she presents on screen sometimes. You just don't expect it because most people don't.
Yeah. I would say that her, Dorit, Alexia, there are a few, Kyle Richards, their glam is good. Good. Like we beat the face. It's that one girl who always does the Watch What Happens Live glam because they always look the same, all of them. And they always look like, I think her name's Priscilla.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. She's good. But wait a minute. Guys, I'm all over the place right now. I'm in the middle of 3 moves as we speak. 3 moves, 3 dogs, 2 naked pussies, one mother-in-law, and a husband and a partridge in a pear tree. Okay, so we have a lot going on over here. But
Let's get that as a reality show.
yeah, no fucking way. I would be canceled because I'm gonna kill somebody. But I'm not. But I feel like it. But getting back to it, I have to get off the beaten path for a second. Is Vanderpump Rules on a pause, or is this the beginning to the end?
No, pause. But Ariana just announced today that she's going back to Broadway in August. She's doing Chicago again. She's they're sending her to Broadway again in August for a limited run. But I think it's complete pause. No, I think Adam, I think this is like the smartest way to do. Like the Valley's already being like getting great ratings. They're going to pick the Valley up and make them start shooting this summer. So they're going to be fine on that front because it's like, same production company or same Alex, the guy who produces both of them, right? And
Yeah,
then
Bastian.
Vanderpump, it's smart. You do need to let some air out of the bag. It does need to move on and find out what show it's going to be from this point on. And I feel like if you pick back up cameras, it's the same mess. We've been living with this Vanderpump mess since Scandal broke. Even when they did have like the really quick off season, we were still talking about it every day. We need time to like miss Vanderpump Rules. And I know that's probably not a popular opinion, but it's too much. Like I'd rather go see what they actually do with their lives away from like Tom Sandoval needs to decompress. He needs to figure out what the F he's doing with his life and stop worrying about like cameras and how it presents on camera. And I would just rather see what it's like 4 months from now when they, like let them go live a little bit of life and then come back. And then let's see if the show really has legs or not.
Why do I feel like you were one of the people who made a meme about the Tom's girlfriends having to wait longer? Were you not?
No, I didn't. I did not do that
Oh,
meme.
okay.
It sounds like something I would have made like a couple of years ago, but
no, we've evolved.
I will stop myself sometimes. Like I wanted to make a
Okay.
meme so badly this week of Tom Sandoval's mom and Billy Lee because they both had the same face, like in amazement. Like when Billy Lee looked at Tom Sandoval coming out of the ice plunge, Billy Lee was like, like never had seen anything. And Tom's mom had the same exact face watching Tom perform at the El Rey. It was like this, like whatever Tom does to these ladies, they just sit there and look at him like he is a god. And I thought, I almost made that meme, but I thought, don't do that. So sorry to say that out loud. Yeah.
You're practicing self-control around here.
I'm trying to practice self. I'm trying. If sometimes I feel like, okay, that's too mean. Yeah.
Or is it too mean?
Yeah.
Guys, I'm not the comedian. That's him. Anyways, back to it. Okay, so back to the whole situation that we have going on with the Real Housewives of New Jersey. When Paulie and John started getting into this argument, I didn't necessarily understand the complete argument, but when Paulie started getting sort of heightened about it, I got to be honest. I've had nothing but great conversations with Paulie. He has been so nice to Jason. For anyone who's watching who doesn't know, my husband. I love Paulie, and he is such a level-headed guy. I would imagine that it would be very, very hard to piss him off. Whose side were you on in this conversation?
Well, I mean, it's pretty hard to understand what the exact fight was about, so it's hard to pick a side. But I will say it seems like John Fuda really does want to have camera time this season. So I can't understand what it necessarily was about. But like a lot of these people, if you meet them off camera, they're way different than how they are on camera. Sometimes these shows bring out the worst in people. So in this, I was very confused. But I think it's a weird mix of like, I like Fuda as well, but there's a weird mix of him trying to, it sometimes reads this season already, potentially going to be a little thirsty. And maybe Paulie, the fight was, listen, let's keep a conversation between you and Louis behind closed doors as men and not here on camera. That might have been something to do with it. But also Paulie is friendly with Teresa and Louis in a different way. So and also there's drinking involved. So I don't know. I was a little confused about that, but it seemed like they got like their action that they needed to kind of end the episode or take us out. Cause then that led into Teresa, kind of talking to Rachel and then John and then putting a lot of candy drunkenly in her purse. Hey, Pamela.
Thanks, Pamela. Do you agree, Pamela? Hi, Adam and Ryan, sending you both love from North Carolina. Well, hi. Come visit me in Charleston. whenever I get there, because right now I feel like I'm a sinking ship. I am. Did Columbus's ship sink?
Let's talk more about Bravo. I don't
Yeah,
know
yeah, yeah, yeah,
actual
yeah, yeah, yeah.
history. Yeah,
Back to it.
let's.
Okay, so back to it. With all of this that's happening, and we're watching the show. First of all, I'm curious what happened to the two newbies that didn't end up making it.
Oh yeah, I mean, or did they come in later in the season?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like they didn't make it in the preview or like the first
Well,
episode.
well, I mean, I heard something where it's like they didn't feel like they had enough action, and then they brought new people in. Is that what the rumor was?
I think what happened was kind of like what Andy said, where you have two totally separate parties, teams,
Oh,
if you
not
will,
wanting to
and they had to
interact.
add somebody in. But also, if you have two separate teams and then you add in two problematic people who could potentially like play both sides, then we're
But
kind of having access to both teams.
do you think the season is going to be like each episode, people trying to drag Melissa and Teresa into scenes together, kind of like with Ariana and Tom in a sense? Like Melissa says, I don't want to talk about her. I don't want to have scenes with her, all of this stuff. But do you think it's going to be every week? They're going to try to, like, production's going to try to find a new way to make these two interact because they're almost dependent on their drama. I want the show to truly move on from that drama and
Yeah.
find new things to focus on that do not have to deal with Teresa and Melissa.
Okay. That reminded me, I have two more questions for you. I don't know what the balloons thing is. I don't know what
Yeah,
that is.
sure.
One, if you had to pick between keeping Teresa and Louis or Joe and Melissa, based off of what we're seeing, who is more vital to the success of the show? Not who brought more and who, I'm not talking about the nostalgia of it and who built this show, but I'm saying currently now, today, would you rather have Joe and Melissa or Teresa and Louis?
That's like a really hard question. Like Teresa's obviously a legend. I just feel like if this is how it's going to be, give Teresa and Louis a spinoff.
Mhm.
And I feel like, we're too caught up in slowing down for whatever these relationships are between these four specific people that I would almost keep Melissa and Joey just because then we would actually be able to move on in a real way and find other dramatic angles to take. I know that's not a popular opinion because I even agree. Teresa is a legend. She is the one, she is the star. But I
Yeah.
just sometimes feel it is like shackled to her and it takes this show down. I know I mean, people are potentially going to be pissed about that, but it's like she's a star. It just like it takes the show down. I
Yeah.
want to see Jen Aiden without Teresa. I want to see a season where we don't talk about this like completely crushed family dynamic. Like it's crushed. Let's move on.
When you say that you want to see Jen Aiden without Teresa, it's almost like what Jackie Goldschneider just did with Margaret when she flip-flopped on Margaret and went to Teresa because people wanted to see her outside of that bubble and they felt like, okay, she's getting boring. She's not bringing it. And then she did that. And we haven't seen because we haven't watched it yet, but a lot of people are reacting like, oh, you only did that for screen time. You only did that for attention. And the feedback's not incredible.
Yeah.
So
I
maybe
think
Jen
the
Aiden's
well,
afraid of that.
Well, the Jackie thing is going to be really interesting to watch because even just, you can see she really gets seduced. And it just goes to show you, I think like Teresa and Jen are kind of like those popular girls in high school that you always want to be a part of that clique. But sometimes you might need to sell your soul a little bit. So it's going to be interesting to watch Jackie and how that really works. But you can tell even just from the like clips that Jackie seems like she's thrilled to be welcomed in with open arms with Teresa and Jen, which I
Yeah.
think will be an interesting conflict in a sort of way. But once again, we're still hampering down on this division with Teresa and Jen and the rest of the ladies. So I'm excited to see that in a sense. I don't know. I'm just confused about this whole season because you rated it a 7. I would rate this a 6, maybe. It was still great
Well,
to
we're
see
not far off.
them. Well, it's still great to see them. I just feel like we didn't move, but there's nothing really new. I feel like it's the same jersey, and I don't necessarily think that's a good thing. I think sometimes you might really have to break this show up for the overall lasting success of the show.
Yeah, I agree. But also, another question that I had for you, and I forgot to remember, but now I remembered that I forgot. Um, John Fuda. wanting to have the conversation with Louis on camera and Louis wanting to do the man-to-man thing at a coffee shop not on camera. Where do you lean?
Well, listen, like I said, I think Fuda is a little thirsty this season, even though I like him. But the Louis thing, I think that's the thing is that Louis to me still is a mystery in a lot of ways. Is that I can understand wanting something on camera, especially at the reunion. It gets talked about how Louis's number was caught calling all of these people, potentially investigating these people, whether that be true or not. If you did stuff like that to my family, I'm going to want a camera there. Like,
Yeah.
there's no way I'm going to do that meeting behind closed doors if I don't trust you already. This is a reality TV show. This is like a big dramatic moment from the season, from the reunion. We need to find out answers. Like, I'm even curious about that. Fuda might
Yeah.
be thirsty a little bit, but I am curious at the end of the day how Louis operates. And he has to leave for Florida for a business trip instead of going to this party all of a sudden last minute. Like, yeah, I'm still and when I'm confused about business, all I think about is how I was confused about Jen Shah's business. I was confused about Tom Girardi's law firm. Like, these are questions you ask yourself when you watch these shows, but you kind of just go forget about it and go, well, I guess he's doing okay. And then you're like, wait, what exactly do these people do? I'm so confused. So I would have rather that conversation happen on camera, but I just think because it's Fuda, people think oh, he just wants screen time. When in reality, I'm still curious about where we're at with that whole situation. And now with the introduction, knowing that these people are reaching out to fan accounts and trying to poison the well, I'm
Yeah.
even more curious about how all of this operates and how exhausting it must be for these cast members if they're legitimately reaching out to accounts and buying accounts things and giving gift cards. It's ridiculous. It's too much. It's too
It's
much.
too much.
You're supposed to be a celebrity, act like one.
Damn it. Okay. But I do agree. I think that listen, so many other conversations Louis did not have a problem having on camera, especially with Joe Gorga. And,
Yeah.
these moments that would have been obviously better preserved for a more intimate conversation for two guys to sit down and hash this out.
Are you
He
talking
didn't
about
do
the
it with those.
grandpa's, the dad's pajamas? I'm
Yeah.
wearing your father's PJs. By the way,
Mhm.
I think Louis is very entertaining on camera, regardless of what I or anybody thinks about him. He's an interesting guy to watch. There's a lot of interesting behavior. Even when he kissed Teresa last night, he held her hand in his head, give me a kiss, give me a kiss. He's just a very intense dude. And I want to see him. And if we're going to have all the other men in scenes, I want Louis to interact with the other men.
Well, she definitely, you can tell she likes an alpha and somebody who's going to be dominant because she is an alpha woman. So she needs an alpha man. And
Yeah.
oh, did you see? I don't know if I said this at the beginning. I'm all over the place today because I have 5 million things on my mind. So please excuse me, everyone. But that Anna girl from Real Housewives of Miami who said that Louis is now going to slide into Alexia's DMs.
No, I didn't see that.
Oh, the
Oh, could
one
you
that Anna.
imagine?
Oh
Could
my
you
God.
imagine? That would be the worst. And Teresa and Alexia are a friend. I always think Alexia is the Miami version of Teresa.
I do too.
So that would be wow. Ugh.
She really is the Miami version of Teresa, but
Yeah.
oi, oi, oi. Okay. I mean, I
Hi,
know that
Pam.
there were a few things that, especially with the Dolores and Polly stuff, but also Margaret and going through her grief. I know that there were a few things that we didn't talk about, but I don't know if there's much that you can say about the grief and stuff. I think that that's horrific, and I saw a lot of mean comments towards Margaret last night over the grief, which makes
Her
me
ex.
sad because I think that people can I think that you can mess up in life and you can also still have compassion and have a heart and have things still affect you. Um, so I didn't even know what to say about that. But getting back to it, I think that this is going to be a wild season watching, and I think that this is this is going to be a good one. I feel
Wait, why
like
wasn't Jen Aiden's husband in the show last night? Where was he? Where
he
was
was in
Bill?
Miami with Louis.
He was
Doing,
doing business in Florida. Yeah, yeah.
he was doing business in Florida.
Yeah.
Don't you
Of
know?
course.
You don't
Yeah,
know?
obviously. Sorry. Jersey has a lot of business coming out of. So
And it's so funny too to see the memes real quick. Everybody's so confused why Gabriella is going to college and they think it's Melania. Everybody always thought that Melania was the older one
yeah. No,
and
it's
Gabriella was
weird.
the young one.
I was even confused as well, but it's and sometimes they start to look so similar, and not Melania, but the other daughters where I'm like, wait, what's going on? And they just keep popping up. Also, I actually am kind of excited to see Teresa move in her daughter to college. Like,
Yeah.
just to watch Teresa in a dorm room. Like, my God, think about like Real Housewives of Orange County when Vicky went and visited Michael at his fraternity and
Oh,
drank
with the
with
keg
them back in the
stand.
day. Like, oh my God, I would love a Teresa at a sorority party. Are you kidding me?
Wait, who just did that? Joe Gorga just did that at
Did he?
Antonia's.
Good. I love stuff like I would love to see actual like their stuff in real life. I think that
Yeah.
would make for a hysterical scene.
That they yeah. I mean, I do kind of agree with you when you said give Teresa and Louis their own spinoff with the kids. I think
Yeah.
that they have enough going on. They're like a little modern day Brady Bunch, and I think that it would be very entertaining. And also, I think that that would sort of bridge the gap of what we're looking for New Jersey to get back to what it was. But in history, I think that can all agree that people don't like change. So when you eliminate or add, people get upset. So if we take somebody away or if we add somebody new, people are not happy with that. And that also presents a
Well,
problem.
the Jersey fan base is primed to be at war with each other. We're
Yeah.
primed to like dislike each other. And like, it's just like, man, at the end of the day, I want the show to succeed, however that happens. Thank you, Christina. I love Christina. Um, yeah, so I don't know. It's one of those things that like, but I'm happy that it's back. I'm gonna watch it every week. But it is interesting. You have Margaret telling Jen Fessler that Jen, do not bring me up to Teresa. Don't talk about me. Don't you have Melissa saying I don't want to answer questions about Teresa. There's only so far the show can go if everybody's like, don't even bring my name up around Teresa. That
Yeah.
shows how serious it is. But also, I don't think it's that serious that Teresa said when Teresa was telling Paulie like you're like, oh, these people met before the reunion to try to bring me and my husband down. And I'm like, I think that these people meet regardless. They all hang out with each other. I didn't think that was that big of a deal. Like, also, if Louis is allegedly threatening families, calling people, doxing people, you are going to have a meeting to talk about it, right?
Yeah. Well,
What's up, chump?
also, last but not least, question for you. People are now wondering because from what I gather, it looks like they tried to mimic Vanderpump Rules over in Charleston for Southern Hospitality.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
what I'm curious about is now I've seen a couple comments and this is like Bravo blogs. Now they think with Vanderpump Rules being on this pause, so to speak, that this could potentially give other shows the ability to be entertained by viewers that maybe wouldn't have entertained them.
Yeah.
Do you think that's the case, or do you think that the Bravo fans are so loyal to whatever they're watching in that moment and they will sit back and wait for it to come back? They're not really going to entertain the other shows.
I mean, we'll see, but at the same time, you see like how Vanderpump Rules launched The Valley. The
Uh-huh.
Valley held on to a lot of the key audience in terms of like ratings and demographic, so
That's a
that
good point.
Bravo was able to successfully launch a show. Now, if you go over on Sunday nights to Summer House Martha's Vineyard, Potomac had a very weak season, so Potomac was the lead-in for Summer House Martha's Vineyard, and Summer House Martha's Vineyard did not get good ratings. Still has not gotten good ratings, and I'm really curious for the ratings to come out from last night to see what Jersey did and how much of the audience that Summer House Martha's Vineyard was able to hang on to. Like, I want these shows to succeed. I watch Summer House Martha's Vineyard. I watch Southern Hospitality. We do need to make room for other shows, but I've even done that in the past too. I get so locked into the shows that I'm watching that I can't bear to bring like I don't want to learn about new people. Like sometimes I get really stubborn about it. So you kind of have to give yourself over to it. You're like, this is the team, this is the network I support, and I'm going to try everything on this network and see what suits me. But they do need to find ways to launch new shows because there's only so many years Vanderpump Rules is going to continue. There's only so many years Jersey's going to continue if we still focus on the same fights season after season. You want the overall success of these shows. I mean, Miami, they started it out on Peacock when they revamped it, and now they brought it over to Bravo. We're still, I mean, listen, Dubai's coming back, and people never watch the first season. Like, you got
I
to
know.
try to educate the audience
I
because
know.
you're spending a lot of money on these shows, but I sometimes am curious about, why and when they launch something. I find that stuff really fascinating.
Oi, oi, oi. All right. Last but not least, before we end up asking Ryan where we can find him, Ryan, I'm throwing a launch party in June. I can't tell anybody what it's about, but it's at the end of June, and I would love for you to come to Charleston.
Of
If you're there.
course. Yes, I'm there. Yes.
if you're
Hey, this is going to be because I'm going to see you in October in Charleston as well. So this will be great. But I would do anything for Adam. Adam's,
you
as you
are going to
guys
be
know,
there
the
in
best.
October. You have
Yeah.
to. I mean, guys, this is just. I'm telling you, just a clusterfuck of just shit. I'm waiting for this week to be over so I can get back to real life. But yes, we will be seeing Ryan in October, and I'm super excited. Ryan, if they don't know, will you let them know? I'm going to start with the Instagram, then I'm going to go to the tube.
Yeah, it's just so bad it's good with Ryan Bailey on Instagram. The show is of the same name. I was sick for like a week and a half. I put out just a couple episodes, not like the 80 billion I usually do. Today we have a Valley recap, and Sammy Sage, the one of the founders of Betches. She's our guest today. Tomorrow, Lindsay Hubbard from Summer House is coming on. I did that interview last week. It was pretty intense. So if you like Summer House, and we're also going to do a full Jersey recap over there tomorrow. And yeah, no, it's a bunch of pop culture and a lot of Bravo. So it can be really silly, and sometimes that's not people's thing. So just check it out if you want. If not, don't worry about it. But we also have our YouTube page. You don't get to see the full
Joseph thing.
Yeah,
I'm done.
You don't get to see. Maritza Lopez makes all of these. She's brilliant. But yeah, so come over. So we try to be silly, and it's a lot of me just being very neurotic. So come over and check it out. Yeah. But thank you guys. Up and Adam, your audience is always amazing. So I'm always happy to wake up early to talk to you because you're one of the favorite people I've met doing this. So thank you.
Oh my God. And guys, Ryan wakes up, I'm sure. Well, he doesn't wake up at 9 a.m.
I go to bed late. Yeah.
He starts filming at 9 a.m. So thank you, Ryan. I appreciate the hell out of you guys. If you're not following, you have to make sure you go follow him and check him out. I will post everything in the description, but thank you guys for watching. If you haven't already, go ahead and smash that like button, show some love. And Ryan, I got a puppy to go train, so somebody doesn't tell me again.
Double-sided D's forever. Woo!
Oh, no. Cop without a badge forever. Yes.
Yeah.
Here. Rose forever, not double-sided D's forever. But all right, guys, I love you. I will see you next time. We'll see you on Wednesday for our real Vanderpump Rules and the Valley recaps, and then I'll see you this upcoming Friday for another Hot Messy Topics. I'll keep you guys posted on everything in the community tab. Things are going up on the podcast, and I have a members only coming for you guys for a behind the scenes of our new place and us trying to get it together, which I just want to share the inside of like what Jason and I have going on. So just keep an eye out for that as well. And I'm going to go try to keep my head above water. So bye guys. See you next time. Bye.